what's up, all of you beautiful subscribers? Welcome back to the Chapple Show. So we got another entrepreneurship, billionaire, investor, entrepreneur video for you today. We're going to cover Bill Gates, the richest man in the world, depending on what day it is. Jeff Bezos is trying to take that title from him. But the richest man in the world, founder of Microsoft, everyone knows him. So we're going to talk about some of the strategies that he used to, invest and build Microsoft, and some of the tips that he likes to give to young entrepreneurs and investors. So we're going to start off with number one, which is believe. Do you believe in life after love? Believe in yourself. Believe in your ideas. Believe in your life after love. No. So he said this so many times. Whenever he gives any sort of talk to any school of business entrepreneurs, he always talks about believing in your ideas and believing that your company will succeed. Believing in your product that can be what separates you from succeeding from not succeeding. He believed, I've mentioned this so much in recent videos, you have to be delirious with your confidence in believing that your company will succeed. Now, he says that, he always believed that Microsoft would be a really big company. He never believed that they would be worth, $500 billion and he'd be the richest person in the world. But he always believed that Microsoft was a big, big company. And because he believed in that, he would work harder. He would try to make new products. By believing in the company, he would be motivated to get up and go to work every day and make new stuff. And that's one of the key reasons why Microsoft became so big. Everyone believed in the product, in the company, in the vision, believed in themselves, in their capabilities. That's one of the reasons. So for you guys, when you start a business, you got to have that confidence. You got to go out there. You got to have that confidence that you are going to succeed, that your product is awesome, that your company is great, that everyone must know your company, that everyone must know and own your product. Okay? Believe in yourself, believe in your ideas. We're going to move on to number two here, which is the haters. The haters. Bill Gates' haters. He doesn't have a lot of haters today because of all of philanthropy and everyone likes him now. But back in the day, in the late 70s, mid to late 70s, early 80s, early 90s, when Microsoft was trying to expand as a company, he had a lot of haters. He had a lot of haters saying that the product wasn't as good as Apple's. He had a lot of people saying that the company was getting too big. A lot of people were saying that he wasn't the right person to be CEO of the Earth. Was he CEO? Yeah, he was CEO, right? President, chairman, whatever you want to call him. People were just hated on him. And what he used to say is that this is one of my biggest motivations too, one of the biggest motivations for him to work so hard and to build the company and want to succeed was to prove everyone wrong. I know that this is really, really funny because most people think that you should build a business just so you can, change the world, or just so, you can accomplish certain things because you want to be a good person and help everyone. One of the biggest motivations for why I started my business was to kind of, out of spite. I've talked about that. My entrepreneurship journey kind of started with spite, to kind of, be like, oh, screw you, all right? Screw you. I want to prove you wrong. You're a hater, all right? And that's a thing that you see in entrepreneurs a lot. Whenever there's bad news about your company, about yourself, you want to prove them wrong. And that's what Bill Gates loved doing. Proving people wrong, proving people that he was the right person for the company, proving that the company was the most valuable in the world for decades. All right, so we're going to move on here to number three here. We're going to move on to be aware of, and my microphone's caught on there. Be aware of, it's too long there. Be aware of competitors and competition. And oh boy, did Bill Gates have to, think about this. When Microsoft started as a company, they were competing with Apple. Apple started essentially within 365 days of Microsoft. So they had them as competitors, as the new tech startups. They also had Compaq computers. They were a big company too. They actually very much competed with Microsoft and did very well for many years. But the big player was IBM. So Microsoft had to go up against another startup company plus an established company out there, and they had to be aware of everything that they were doing. But there was, there's the movie Pirates of Silicon Valley from the early 90s, and it talked about how Bill Gates and Steve Jobs They hated each other, and they were aware of everything else that each other was doing and trying to one-up each other. And that's, again, one of the reasons why they both succeeded. It wasn't because either of them failed, but both of them pushed each other and forced them to both innovate. All right? They had to innovate, and eventually they were trying to one-up each other so much that they left everyone else in the dust, including the giant IBM. Really, that's a really fascinating story. I mean, think about how big IBM was, and now it's still a big company, but it's worth, what, $100-something billion versus Microsoft was worth 5 times that, Apple's worth 7 times that, or 8 times that probably now. So be aware of your competition and use that. Use that as motivation. Use that as perspective to innovate. Make sure you don't get left behind, and make sure you stay one step ahead of your competition. And again, a lot of time, I mean, think about Microsoft too, is that they had the giant IBM. They had to compete with them. They also had their brother or cousin, whatever, in Apple. They had to compete with them. Plus, after Microsoft became established, they had to deal with all the basement dwellers, the people trying to start new companies like Compaq, or Compact, whatever you want to call them, whatever their name was. So they had to deal with, there's usually 3 levels of competitors you have to deal with. The established one, the one that's on the same level as you, and then the one that's a slightly lower, the one that's just starting, the level lower than you. You have to be aware of what they're doing at all times, because guess what? That guy in the basement might come up with a new way that's to do business that's way better than yours or your competitors or the established people. And so if you don't keep an eye on what they're doing, then they're going to overpass you. Just like Microsoft overpassed IBM, maybe then someone's going to overpass Apple and Microsoft in the future if they don't keep staying ahead. Who really knows? We're going to move on here to number 4, which is always improve your products. Think about this. How many operating systems has Microsoft made? How many updates have they made to that? I don't even really know what the number is, to be honest. 15, 20 operating systems? What if they didn't keep improving their operating systems? And what if, what if they released, Windows 7 or whatever, Vista, remember Vista? What if they released those operating systems and then they just never updated them? You didn't have to download the updates. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to go to the shitters because there's lots of hackers out there that'll send viruses, and usually people don't really realize this. One of the reasons why your computer slows down and stops working is because you don't update the operating system. There's usually some sort of bugs in there that hackers get into, or some worm or whatever gets into. And Microsoft and Apple, they update their operating systems almost solely to stay ahead of those, hackers and bugs and viruses that you may encounter. And so it speeds up your computer. And imagine if they never did that, and your computer just slowly dies over time. You always got to improve your product. Now, that's just operating systems. So we're also talking about like innovations. Think about like what Apple did. They released their iPhone 1, great innovation, but think about how raw that was compared to today. It didn't have Siri, all of their it didn't have Siri, it didn't have iMessage, I don't think it had iMessage. Obviously, Apple Music and stuff wasn't on there. I mean, Apple, I don't even know if there was like apps on there. How many apps were on there? Like, was Facebook an app at the time in 2007, 2008, 2009? I don't really know. But you always got to find a way to improve your product, even if it's in the minute ways, like changing the glass or changing the fiberglass that the screen runs on. I remember that they did that too. I remember people liked a bending phone, people wanted a slightly bending phone, and then the product would bend, and then they had to fix the bending. I remember that. Samsung, their phones are exploding sometimes, right? It's their battery pack. So you always got to improve your product, all right? And you're going to get left in the dust if you don't. Because everyone does. Keep improving your product over time. So we're going to move on here to number 5, which is respect is earned. In your career, we'll go back to my career. Or we'll just say general example here. So you're a young kid, you're going into an established corporate office for the first time, you're 18 years old. What's going to happen? You're walking into an audit office with a bunch of 40, 50, 60-year-olds, or I guess probably 30, 40, 50-year-olds. What do you think, how are you going to get treated? You're going to get treated like a kid, like you don't know anything. How are you able to avoid that? You got to prove yourself. You got to earn it. All right? You have to earn respect at your job, in your business, and so on. For me, one of the ways that I would earn respect, I mean, I was one of the oldest professions, not prostitution, so real estate agents, in terms of average age, very, very high. We're talking most people are over 40 years old as a real estate agent. And so they had the archaic way of selling real estate when I walked in. They were selling real estate. I mean, I was dealing with commercial leases at the time. They were still doing flyers and paying literally $150, sending out flyers to try and sell commercial leases, commercial office space. And I was like, how stupid is this? Have you heard of a thing in my area? It's called Kijiji. There's one of them. But there's online places to sell real estate. So I was like, you know what? For $18, I can put an ad and I can almost guarantee that this office is going to get leased out. So what happened? There's this office space. They tried marketing it. They got one call. Person wasn't really interested, whatever. So it was after a week, and then they're like, we're having trouble getting traction for this. And I was like, can I have a shot at this? Can I have a shot? I'd like to try and sell it online. Then they kind of did the eye rolling. They were like, oh yeah, okay, there. You can sell it online with, what are you going to use, fucking Facebook ads? And I was like, just give me a second here. All right, so here's what I did. I posted it on a bunch of, real estate online places to post that stuff. And I think it was within 24 or 48 hours, I had like 8 people call. 8 people, no, I think it was 4 people actually were ready to see it, and then I got 3 offers, and I don't know how many calls there were. I forget now, my memory's fuzzy. But I got more traction in 24 hours, like 8 times more traction in 24 hours with $18 than they did with, hundreds with their old school way. So I earned my respect that my way could work. And guess what? They picked up the strategy afterward. Not really, but you have to earn your respect. You have to earn it. So you have to find a way. If it's in your job like that, and for me in real estate, for me it was proving that online is a good way to sell real estate. Sure, you still have to get people through the door, but online is a good way to sell real estate. So whatever that is in your job, your business, you got to find a way to earn respect. So if you're walking up to an investor like on Shark Tank and you have 0 sales, they're going to laugh at you because you have 0 sales. Know who doesn't get laughed at? The person who walks in with $4 million in sales in 1 year. So you got to earn your respect. You got to prove yourself. You got to prove your business. So for me, I'm not going to open up the seller program. I'm not going to promote it, the seller program on my site until I can prove that I can sell my own stuff through my upcoming site. And so I want to prove that I can actually make money so that you guys can actually make money too on the site. And so if I don't make any money, I'm not going to have a seller program, and I'll do something else. You have to prove it. You have to earn respect as a company and as a person. This just comes with anything in walks of life. So we're going to move on here to number 6, which is the super team. You see this from a lot of companies, but Microsoft was a big one. So you had, one of the things that he talks about, what Bill Gates talks about, is that building a super team of really, really skilled individuals. That's very important. But make sure that you all complement each other. So you have, Bill Gates, good coder, obviously one of the best coders of all time, good programmer. He was also, he was a really nerdy talker. He had a lot of good ideas. Paul Allen, same thing too. But Steve Ballmer, I believe it was Steve Ballmer. I'm not getting these mixed up, I hope. But Steve Ballmer, I remember they talking about him when he walked into the company. He was like a good sales guy. He was a good energetic sales guy that was like something that they hadn't had at the company before. He was completely different. He really helped Microsoft grow as a company. It wasn't just all Bill Gates and Paul Allen. It was people like Steve Ballmer as well. So building a super team of people that are very, very good in what they do, even if they, usually if you're the founder of a company, you have to wear all the hats. But after you found your company, find people that are, top tier at what they do. So if there's a top tier salesman, try to get a top tier salesman. Try to get a top tier marketer, a top tier web developer, whatever it may be. Build a super team around you, and your life and your business will grow a lot faster. It'll get a lot better, a lot quicker too, versus if you just have a bunch of average dumbass people that don't know what they're doing. Which happens a lot in business, by the way. A lot of the times you don't even find out you have a dumbass until you've interviewed them like 3 or 4 times. So we're going to move on to number 7, which is, again, this is an Elon thing, but work Oh, that's a bad K. That's a bad K. Work harder than anyone else. We talked about this in the Elon video, if that's been up. Working harder than anyone else. So the story for Bill Gates is that when he was building Microsoft, I think it was for 8 years, his day was pretty much the same, where he didn't go outside, he didn't talk to anyone, well, apart from selling and marketing and networking. But his day would be like, go to bed at 3 to 4 a.m., wake up at 6, 7, 8 a.m., 3, 4, 5 hours of sleep, code for almost all of the day, maybe go get a burger, hamburger, come back, and you just code for 15, 16, 17 hours a day. That was his day. He was working harder than anyone else at the time, including like a Steve Wozniak, even though he was working hard too. Probably just as hard maybe. But working harder than anyone else, that's a common, with all these videos, with all these entrepreneurship investing videos, that's a common trait out of everything that we've seen from people, is that they work harder than anyone else. And if you think you're working hard, you're probably not. I mean, 8 hours a day is not enough. 10 hours a day is not enough most of the time. 12 hours, that's probably good enough. And I'm sure that, Gary Vee says you got to work 18 hours. So maybe I'm slipping up. On average, I work 12 to 14 hours a day. Some days I work 16, some days 18. But, I bet that there's some kid out there that's making something similar to me that's working 18 hours a day. Who really knows? Who really knows? So I think that's going to wrap this video up. What do you guys think of all this? Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. So if you like talks like this, you're going to like the Wealth Accelerator. So check that in the link down below. Teaches you, what it takes to start a business and so on. So thank you very much for watching. You're all very beautiful people, and I'll see you guys in the next video.